My wife got back in shape and decided she could do better than me, so she filed for divorce but quickly regretted it. I don't really know how to start this except to say I never expected to be that guy, the one who got dumped the moment his wife started feeling herself again. But here I am, sitting alone in the house we bought together, trying to figure out how the woman I married turned into someone I barely recognize. We've been married for 12 years. Met in our late 20s, both kind of awkward and tired of the dating scene. I wasn't some chiseled gym guy, and she wasn't a model or anything, but man, we fit. We laughed at the same dumb jokes, ordered the same food at restaurants, argued over movies like we were critics. I thought we were solid. Normal. Comfortable. She had always struggled with body image. I loved her the way she was, genuinely. I told her that all the time. But after our second kid, something clicked in her. Maybe it was the postpartum stuff, maybe it was seeing herself in pictures, I don't know. She joined a gym, got serious with a trainer, started cutting sugar, doing these meal preps that took over our fridge. At first I was proud of her. Supportive even. Bought her a Fitbit. Drove her to early spin classes. Watched the kids on weekends so she could go to boot camp. She dropped 60 pounds in a year. 60. I watched it happen like time-lapse footage, my wife slowly transforming into someone else. But it wasn't just the weight. Her whole vibe changed. She started dressing different, more revealing. Which whatever, I wasn't jealous. I was proud. But then she started spending more time at group workouts and brunches that I never got invited to. She stopped wanting to cuddle on the couch. Stopped saying I love you first. Stopped initiating anything romantic or even friendly. She was constantly on her phone, always smiling at something she wouldn't share. I tried to talk to her about it once, carefully. I said, you've changed. And I don't mean the weight. I just feel like you're not really here with me anymore. She smiled, this weird, half-pitying smile, and said, maybe I'm just finally becoming who I was meant to be. I laughed, thinking she was joking. But she wasn't. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, I've spent years putting everyone else first. I deserve more now. I asked her, more than what? She didn't answer. That was the first crack. From there, it spiraled. She started making snide comments, calling me predictable, boring, even unmotivated. Once, while getting ready for some rooftop cocktail event, she looked me up and down and said, you could stand to put in some effort too, you know. Like I was her project that had fallen behind. Then came the phrase I still hear in my head at night. I think I can do better than this. This being me. The kids. Our life. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't even a conversation. She just said it one night over dinner like she was discussing a new job offer. Then she added, I've been thinking about divorce. No yelling. No tears. Just cold calculation. Like she'd already mapped out the escape route and was letting me know last minute. I was blindsided. We hadn't been perfect, but I didn't think we were broken. I begged her to reconsider. Asked if there was someone else. She denied it, got offended even. Told me I was being paranoid. Gaslit the hell out of me. Said I was insecure because she was improving herself and I wasn't keeping up. The divorce papers came 3 weeks later. That's when I found out about him. The trainer. Of course. She'd been working out with him for over a year. Turns out she wasn't just lifting weights. My buddy saw them at a local restaurant, hands all over each other, kissing like high schoolers. I confronted her and she had the audacity to say, we didn't start until after I filed. It wasn't cheating. It was clarity. Clarity. God, that word made my blood boil. So there I was, 43, single dad of 2, trying to pick up the pieces while she was out finding herself in new designer heels and hotel room sheets. The worst part? My kids saw it happen. They watched their mother change from someone who kissed them goodnight and made pancakes on Saturdays to a woman who rolled her eyes when they needed her and couldn't wait to drop them off. My youngest asked me, why doesn't mommy smile anymore when she's home? What do you even say to that? I didn't cry at first. I couldn't. I was too busy making lunches, figuring out the custody schedule, explaining to friends why she stopped coming to BBQs. But in the quiet moments, when the house was too still and the pictures on the wall looked like lies, I broke. Over and over again. And that was only the beginning. It happened exactly 78 days after she left. I didn't count intentionally, it's just burned into my brain. 78 days of trying to hold it together. Of watching my kids adjust to a home that felt half full. Of biting my tongue when they asked when mommy was coming back. I'd just gotten the hang of the single dad routine. My daughter had stopped crying every night. My son wasn't asking about her as much. We had a rhythm, pancakes on Sundays, library visits on Wednesdays. I was still hurting like hell, but I was surviving. Then she texted me. Can we talk? Just those 3 words out of the blue. No preamble. No explanation. My gut twisted. I knew something had happened. I didn't respond at first. I let it sit there, glowing on my screen while I stared at it like it might bite. She followed up 2 hours later. Please. I need to see you. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her. Neutral ground. A diner near our old neighborhood. I showed up early, heart pounding, palms sweating like a teenager. I hated that I still cared what she might say. I hated that a part of me wanted her to say she made a mistake. When she walked in, she didn't look like the confident, glam version of herself I'd been watching from afar. No makeup. Eyes puffy. Her hair was pulled back like she'd given up halfway through brushing it. I don't say that to be petty, I say it because it was the first time she'd looked human to me in months. She sat down without saying hi. Just stared at her coffee for a minute before whispering I messed up. No shit. But I didn't say that. I just stared back, waiting. She said it hadn't worked out with the trainer. Cody, apparently. She called it a short-lived fantasy. He wasn't who she thought he was. He didn't want kids, hated pets, didn't like when she didn't wear makeup. Oh, and he was seeing another woman the whole time, some yoga instructor he swore was just a friend. She laughed bitterly like it was a punchline. I left a good man for a guy who never even opened the car door for me. I didn't say anything. My jaw was clenched so tight it hurt. Then came the waterworks. She started crying loud, messy sobs that drew glances from the booth behind us. She reached across the table for my hand. I pulled mine back. That's when she said it. I want to come home. I froze. Home? Like nothing happened? Like she hadn't dragged my heart through the dirt and abandoned our kids for abs and protein shakes? She kept going. Said she'd been depressed. That she got caught up in the transformation and didn't realize how much she'd lost. She missed the way I looked at her in the mornings. Missed how safe she felt with me. Missed the kids. Missed Sunday pancakes. I sat there and let her speak. But inside I was screaming. Because all I could think about was the night I found out. The way she said she deserved more. The way she looked at me like I was a pair of worn-out shoes she'd outgrown. Now she wanted to slide them back on because the new ones gave her blisters? No. I told her I was glad she realized the truth, but that truth came with consequences. I said I didn't hate her, I'd spent too many years loving her for that, but I didn't trust her either. I told her the kids were okay and they didn't need someone who only came back when Plan A fell through. She begged. Literally begged. In the middle of that diner, she was on the verge of tears again, saying please don't throw our family away. But she already had. Twice, she tried to reach across the table. Twice I pulled back. I said, you didn't lose me because you got in shape. You lost me because you threw me away the moment you felt powerful. And now that the world didn't hand you what you thought it would, you're here. She stared at me, lips trembling, and whispered I was stupid. Maybe. But stupid doesn't undo betrayal. Stupid doesn't fix what you did to your kids. And stupid sure as hell doesn't walk back through the front door like nothing happened. I stood up, left enough cash on the table for her coffee, and walked out. She texted me that night and the next. Left voicemails. Said she'd go to therapy, change, whatever it took. But it was too late. I wasn't the same guy she left behind. After I walked out of that diner, I thought maybe she'd take the hint. That maybe she'd finally sit with the consequences of what she'd done. She didn't. She doubled down. The next morning, my phone had 12 missed calls. 5 voicemails. A text that said, I need my family back. Please, we can fix this. I ignored them all. That's when she switched strategies. It started with the kids. She asked to see them more outside our court-agreed custody schedule. Said she just missed them so much. And listen, I'm not a monster. If the kids had been begging to see her, I'd have relented. But they weren't. They were confused. Especially our youngest, who still asked, why didn't mommy want to live with us anymore? I told her we could stick to the schedule and revisit things after she got therapy, real therapy. Not crocodile tears at a diner. She said I was weaponizing the kids. Accused me of using them to punish her. Classic deflection. Then she started reaching out to our mutual friends. People we used to go on double dates with. Old neighbors. My best friend from college, even. I'd get texts saying, hey, she called me crying. I know she messed up, man, but maybe you two could work through it. She was painting herself as some kind of sad, lost woman who had a breakdown and just needed to find herself again. Some of them bought it. Some didn't. One of them, Claire, a friend of hers who'd actually warned me months ago, texted me and said she thought the grass was greener. Turns out it was AstroTurf. Then came the unannounced visits. The first time, it was just a knock at the door. I opened it and there she was holding a pan of lasagna like this was some wholesome Hallmark movie. I asked what she was doing. I just thought maybe you hadn't eaten. And I made your favorite. I didn't take the lasagna. I told her this wasn't a game. The second time it was raining. She stood there on the porch, soaked, no umbrella, just saying, I don't know what to do without you. That time, the kids were home. My daughter saw her and ran to hug her. That part gutted me. Because my daughter didn't know what she'd done. She just saw her mom, broken and wet and desperate, and wanted to make her feel better. I let them talk. Let them have dinner together while I stayed quiet, cleaning dishes with my back turned, pretending I wasn't eavesdropping. She tried to sit next to me afterward. Tried to talk about how good it felt, all of us here. I didn't say anything. Just looked at her and said it's not the same. She left. But not for good. Because a few days later I found out she'd told our daughter, Mommy's trying to come back. Maybe if you tell Daddy how much you miss me, he'll change his mind. That was the final straw. You don't drag your kids into your mess. You don't use them as pawns in your redemption arc. I called her that night and laid it all out. I told her if she ever pulled something like that again, I'd go to court and have her visitation reevaluated. I wasn't playing nice anymore. I wasn't the man she could emotionally manipulate with tears and memory lane casseroles. Her tone shifted immediately. The victim mask dropped. She called me cruel, said I was making her pay forever. Said I was addicted to playing the martyr. No. I was addicted to peace. And I was finally getting a taste of it. Funny thing is, during those months she was out living her better life, I started changing too. I started working out not to win her back, but to rebuild my sense of control. I picked up cooking again. Started seeing a therapist. Found a new rhythm with the kids. Laughed more. Slept better. The man she left behind didn't exist anymore. She was crying over a ghost. And that ghost wasn't coming back. I think the human brain has this cruel habit of flashing memories at you when you're at your most resolute. That week, the week I told her to stay away, my mind kept dragging me back to old moments. Her laughing in the passenger seat, bare feet on the dash. Her in sweatpants on Sunday mornings, humming while making coffee. Her asleep on my chest with a stupid movie playing in the background. But I wasn't reminiscing with nostalgia. It felt like grief. Because that person didn't exist anymore. She died the moment she looked me in the eye and said, I deserve better than this. Still, closure's a funny thing. You don't always know you need it until it's staring at you on your front porch again. This time, she didn't knock. She texted first. Can I please say what I need to say, face to face? One last time. I agreed. Not for her. For me. We met at a park halfway between our places. No kids, no distractions, just two adults who used to share everything. She showed up early, sitting on a bench, hugging her arms like she'd forgotten how to be warm. I almost didn't recognize her. The makeup-free face. The wrinkled hoodie. The absence of that smug, superior glow she used to wear like armor. I sat down beside her, maybe a foot apart. She didn't look at me right away. I lost everything, she said, her voice cracking. The kids barely talk to me when they're over. My friends, most of them stopped calling. And Cody, he ghosted me like I was nothing. She finally turned to me. Her eyes were hollow. I thought I was upgrading. I thought life owed me something after all those years of feeling invisible. And I treated you like you were just the before photo. I said nothing. She went on. The truth is, you were always good to me. Always. And I traded loyalty and love for some fantasy that fell apart the second reality kicked in. I waited. Do you hate me? She asked, almost in a whisper. I thought about that. No, I said. I don't hate you. Hating you would mean you still had the kind of space in my heart. She flinched. I continued, but I also don't trust you. And I don't love you. Not anymore. That man you left? He's gone. Tears ran down her face, silent and steady. But I stayed still. She reached for my hand. Please, just a chance to make things right. I've been going to therapy. I've cut off everyone who enabled me. I'm trying. I pulled my hand away. I hope you really are. For your sake. For the kids. But you're not coming back into this home. Not now. Not ever. That was the moment. The exact second she realized the door she thought would always be cracked open was slammed shut. She nodded slowly. No more begging. No last-ditch promises. Just a quiet, broken okay? We sat in silence for a while, the wind rustling the trees, the world moving on while we didn't. When she stood to leave, she hesitated and asked, will you ever forgive me? I didn't answer right away. I don't know, I said honestly. But I know I'm done bleeding for someone who only realized my worth after throwing it away. She walked off without another word. And I didn't watch her go. Because this time I wasn't hoping she'd turn around. That night, I put the last of her things into a storage bin in the garage. Not out of spite. Just a final act of moving on. I tucked away the wedding album, the old hoodie she used to steal from me, the anniversary cards. Symbols of a love that had died long before the divorce papers were signed. And then I made myself a drink. Sat on the back porch. Listened to the quiet. It was peaceful. You know that silence after a storm? When everything feels soaked and broken, but there's this odd clarity in the air. That's what life felt like after I closed the door on her for good. No more surprise visits. No more manipulative texts. Just silence. And for the first time in years, I was okay with it. The kids and I settled into a new kind of normal. I started putting sticky notes in their lunch boxes with dumb dad jokes and little "I'm proud of you" messages. My daughter started calling me Chef Daddy because of how I threw down in the kitchen. And every other weekend when they were at her place, I filled the silence with things I'd neglected for far too long myself. At first, it was little things. I cleaned out the garage, reorganized the pantry, built a fire pit in the backyard like I'd always wanted. Then bigger things, I started running again, not to chase any ideal but to feel my lungs work. I picked up woodworking, therapy every other Thursday, journaling. Hell, I even tried yoga, horrible at it, but at least I could laugh at myself again. That pain? It didn't vanish. It just stopped controlling the narrative. What surprised me most was the peace. You'd think the quiet would hurt, like the ghost of what should have been. But nah, it was healing. Peace is underrated until you've been gaslit for years and manipulated by someone who wore your love like a backup plan. She still reached out now and then. Emails, mostly. Apologies, updates about therapy, lines like, "I'm becoming the woman you deserved." And maybe she was. But the truth is, I wasn't her prize anymore. I wasn't the man holding space for her return. That man had boundaries now. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. About 6 months after that final conversation at the park, I met someone. She was a regular at the coffee shop I worked at when I was younger. We used to joke about the terrible jazz playlists they played. I ran into her again at a parent-teacher event. Her son was in my daughter's class. We started talking. Casually at first, kid stuff, homework, teacher rants. But she had this calm about her. Like she'd been through fire too and didn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. One night, she texted me a picture of a broken science project and said, "You ever feel like everything's held together by tape and panic?" I laughed harder than I had in months. From there, it grew naturally. No grand gestures. No rushing. Just two people figuring out how to breathe again. She didn't ask for pieces of me I wasn't ready to give. She didn't expect me to fix her or for her to fix me. She just showed up. Authentically. I didn't tell the kids right away. Took it slow. Made sure it was real. But when I did, their reaction floored me. My daughter said, "You smile more, Daddy." I like it. God. That one broke me in a good way. And no, this isn't some fairy tale ending. I'm not rushing into marriage. I'm not naive anymore. But I'm open. Open to connection. To rebuilding. To love that doesn't come with conditions. Meanwhile, my ex tried again. One last Hail Mary. She found out through one of the kids probably that I was seeing someone. She emailed me. Said it felt like a betrayal. That I had moved on too fast. Too fast. From the woman who replaced me with a gym trainer before the ink was even dry on the divorce. I didn't respond. Not because I was trying to punish her. But because I didn't owe her a damn thing. Forgiveness? Maybe someday. Re-entry into my life? Never again. She made her choice. And so did I. I chose me. I chose peace. I chose a version of myself that doesn't bend to someone else's chaos.